Happy holidays from Collectability. We have some amazing new product to present to you today. And it is going to be a very interesting theme, a theme that has come up quite a bit recently. And that is the question, why are watches round? Many people today are looking at shaped watches. It is definitely a fad out there, but I think we have to look back at the classic round watch, appreciate a round watch for what it is. So I just wanted to share some of my thoughts with you of why most watches today sold on the marketplace are actually round. My first theory is watches are round based out of tradition. If we look at where timekeeping comes from, it comes from celestial bodies, looking at the sun, looking at the moon. Sundials are mostly round. It makes a lot of sense that timekeeping and roundness go hand in hand. So my first theory, in short, is tradition. My second point on why watches are round is more technically based, and that is the production of watches. Early watches, like today, are subject to moisture or dust that essentially can stop your timepiece. There's a reason that when you're on an airplane that you don't have square or rectangular windows. Those edges are just asking for trouble when you're flying 30,000 feet in the air. There's a reason also, if you're on a submarine, that the windows are not square or rectangular. They're typically round or circular form in order not to have edges or corners that can allow the leakage of water. So there's a really basic reason to have round watches, and that is resistance to water and to dust. My third and final argument of why watches are round is it just makes sense when you look at the radius of an hour hand and also the radius of a minute hand. Here I have a subsidiary clock from a railroad station. And you can look with this radial indicator and be able to know exactly, almost to the second, when that train is about to leave the station. In short, there are three reasons why watches are round. First, it's tradition. Second, it's function. And third, it's just the logical way to tell time. And it is the easiest way that you could read the time quickly with your eye. In diving deep with the philosophical question of why watches are round, I started thinking why is there not a round Apple Watch? Of course, we see some of Apple's competitors making smartwatches that are round, but I'm here to tell you that I think there will be a round Apple Watch in the future. It just makes sense. So to all my friends that work at Apple, please contact me and I will help design the perfect round watch for you. And that is a perfect segue to what we're gonna look at now, some important pieces from the past. The first watch of our holiday offering I'd like to show you today is this classic Patek Philippe time-only pocket watch from 1905. With its original box and certificate of origin, this piece is about as elegant as it gets from the classic era of early 20th century Patek Philippe design. Look at that hand-engraved monogram on the back, AB, and the classic dial with the hand-engraved gold filigree hands. This particular watch could look wonderful under the tree this year. The next watch I'd like to show you is a reference 592 from 1940. This particular piece is a time capsule of the highest order. You'll see above the sub-seconds dial, Walserwald, which was the retailer in Buenos Aires, Argentina at the time. This particular piece, everything about it oozes 1940s design and aesthetic. I even think the strap might be from the 1940s, looking at its condition, but I've decided to leave it unrestored. And for the next owner, we could decide together of how far to take this watch back in terms of restoration. But I love seeing as-found pieces preserved in a drawer for decades, and in this case, from the 1940s. Even the signature on the inside box, you could see Patek Philippe and Walserwald, Buenos Aires. This is the kind of watch that Collectability is all about, and we love when we find these fresh to market jewels. Next, we have a classic round steel watch from the 1960s. The reference 3466 is just one of these pieces you need to put on your wrist to fully appreciate. It has a water-resistant screwback. It is the classic Patek Philippe round dial design with the applied batons. And this particular piece was made in 1967. And it is a steel sports watch from another era pre-Nautilus that could be interesting for you to put on your wrist today. Next, we have a reference 5023 from 1996. This particular watch has a water-resistant back, round, of course, and was a staple in the 1990s. Interestingly, we haven't seen many of these resurface in the market, and this is only the 5th known example. It's 31.5 millimeters, and it looks fantastic on the wrist. Speaking of round classics from the 1990s, I recently acquired this reference 5026, rose gold, black dial with applied brigade numerals. The 5026 was made in the late 1990s and it is a piece today that a lot of collectors of this neo-vintage look are really chasing down. At 33 millimeters, it fits beautifully on the wrist. This recently came back from service and is ready with a box and extract from the archives for the next owner. The next watch we have is an extraordinary Calatrava with an extraordinary story behind it. The former owner of this watch was no other than Don McLean, the singer-songwriter behind the songs Vincent or American Pie, which everybody knows. And I recently bought this at an auction, Julian's Auction House. I was excited to buy it as a watch, but also as a watch with extraordinary provenance behind it, because this is reference 3992. And I can't think of many other Patek Philippes that have so much Patek Philippe DNA in it. With the hobnail bezel, it almost looks like a 3919 with that aesthetic, but it has a water-resistant type back with an automatic 240 caliber. So this is a piece that I have with the box and papers that was formerly Don McLean's, which I think these holidays will find a new owner who can appreciate the music and the story behind this beautiful timepiece. Even in more recent times, round watches continue to have their day. This particular reference, 5196, was introduced to the Patek Philippe line in 2004 and remained a staple in the line for over a decade. Look at this platinum version with the sector form dial with the applied Breguet numerals. This particular round beauty is just the kind of classic watch that a lot of collectors like to wear as an everyday timepiece, but these platinum 5196s in particular are becoming more and more collectible every day. I have the box and papers for this reference 5196, and this is ready to go to join your collection. Now, round watches also can be complicated, and we saw it with the 5035 and, of course, the 5146 annual calendar, which I'm holding here. This 5146 has the anthracite gray dial, which I think is one of the most beautiful dial combinations. And the round form of the watch is comfortable and also conveys a lot of information at a glance. Last but not least, the ultimate round complicated watch. In my opinion, that is the reference 5078. And here I have a 5078P with a black Roman dial that I think is just a masterpiece of classic design for the modern era from Patek Philippe. When you look at this timepiece, it looks so simple, yet it is one of the more complicated modern Patek Philippes made. By pushing the slide on the side, we could take a listen to the minute repeating of this extraordinary watch. In 2008, the reference 5078 was launched, and this is one of the first examples of platinum ever sold. And I think the next owner of this watch is really going to love this round beauty to keep in their collection for generations to come. So in short, we looked at a number of round watches, and you could see from the 19th century to today, the round form remains a staple in Patek Philippe design. If you like classic look, if you love this aesthetic, a round watch is completely for you. Thank you so much for joining us today on this close look at round Patek Philippe watches. And if you're interested in form watches, if you're interested in shaped watches, please join us next week where we show our holiday offerings that are not round. If you enjoyed this video today, please like and subscribe on Instagram, also YouTube and TikTok. Until then, enjoy the hunt.